to my channel, and hi if you're new. Welcome. I do DIY and sewing content here. So today we're going to be doing my favorite DIY to date, I think. So the backstory to this dress is that I had wanted to for a while redo the Selkie puff dress. I just think it's like gorgeous. I really didn't want to work with organza, and I don't know, there was always something stopping me from doing it. But then the TV show Bridgerton came out and I just watched it in 2 days. Loved it so much. Loved the costumes, especially the color palettes in the show. Like, it was super colorful, super vibrant, and I loved the Featherington's color palette with the yellows and the pinks and the oranges, and I just was really attracted to that. And Nicola Coughlan, who plays Penelope, I love her so much. So that was my inspiration for this dress. And I kind of realized as I was watching the show that the necklines were these kind of square necklines with the puff sleeves, and it just really reminded me of that, of like a longer version of the Selkie puff dress. So I realized I had some dead stock fabric that I had bought from a local Vancouver company called Fab Cycle. I'll link their website down below. If you live in Vancouver, they're a great company to shop at. And they use local dead stock fabric in the Vancouver fashion industry. So it's a super sustainable way to get your fabric. I will link some resources in the description down below to clarify any techniques I use in this video, because I know that's really helpful. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this Selkie times Bridgerton mashup dress. I enjoyed making it, even though it was very difficult, and I like to challenge myself sometimes, but I think it turned out really good. So again, if you enjoy the video, please give it a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I guess we'll just get right into the tutorial. So here I'm starting off with a well-fitted crop tank top that I own, and just tracing around the general shape of it, except the neckline, because we're going to be doing our own. I kind of eyeballed a neckline that I thought looked good, and then I'm just drawing a curved line. And here I'm marking out the center of my neckline, and then you're just going to draw a line straight down. And then here I'm cutting out my pattern pieces. I added about 2 inches of seam allowance to the outside of my curved under armpit pattern piece. So here are my 3 pattern pieces that you're going to need. For the back panel, you're going to need to cut 2 mirrored to each other. Same with the under armpit piece, and then you're going to have to cut on the fold for the center. And then just to give you some measurements, my back panel measured 12 inches wide, but my entire underbust measurement is 35 inches, or I kind of rounded up to 36 just to be safe. So from the back to the middle panel piece, or the front panel piece, but just the half of it, was around like 22 inches. It ended up being too big, but I think it's better to go bigger and then adjust if it's too big at the end. Here are my 3 pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to right sides facing together, pin these 2 pieces together, and then sew a straight line down. I'm just repeating the same process with the lining. So yes, you're going to have to cut out your same pattern pieces in your lining fabric also. So here are strap pieces. I measured them, they're 16 inches long, which ended up being slightly too long. And then this is how you sew them together. So you put them kind of in this angled form, and then you sew a straight line across where that dotted edge is, and then when you fold it up into a regular strap, it's slightly less bulky and nice and seamless. Here I made a mistake and I sewed it the wrong way, as you'll see, and I got really frustrated because I just wasn't paying attention. So just make sure you pay attention and do it the right way. And here I'm taking my two back panel pieces, facing them right sides together, and then sewing along the top edge of it, so it makes it nice and seamless, as you can see here. And then I pinned my two bodice pieces right sides facing together, and I'm only pinning and sewing a straight line along the inner part of our neckline, so the whole part of that strap and across the front of our bust and up, so it should look like this. And then I'm flipping it right side out, and I'm going to give it a press with my iron so it sits flat.
I'm so glad that we started talking again. Yo, turn up the radio, I love this song. Remember when we used to stay up all night long? How's it been going? Oh, how's it, mom? The roads are so empty, this is so damn calm. If we stick on the highway, we can drive all night.
So to draw off the puff sleeves, I used a pattern that I actually just bought at the thrift store, and I'm using this puff sleeve as a reference. It was long sleeve, so I cut it shorter. After tracing it, I marked the middle point, and then I drew a line every 2 centimeters across the pattern piece.
Are we going again? Just you and I on another one.
And then I'm going to draw a line about 1/2 inch from the bottom edge, and then you're just going to take your scissors and you're going to cut all of these lines.
Sunrise, you know, this is who we are, this is what we do. Driving in circles till we find something new. The only person I enjoy sitting in the car with.
And then you splay it out on a piece of pattern paper, and I'm tracing around those edges and cutting that out, and that should create a more exaggerated puff sleeve, which is the kind that I want for this project.
I'll take the passenger seat. I got my hands out the window, feeling the ocean breeze. If it's fine by you, I'll be beside you, staring out the window, looking at the summer view. Fine by you, I'll be next to you. If it's fine by you, I'll be beside you, speeding down the highway with the wind blowing through. Everything around us feeling minuscule. If it's fine by you, I'll take the passenger.
So to create the puff, we need to create a gathered edge right along that side of our sleeve. How we do this is we go up to the highest stitch length that you can in your machine. Mine was 5. And you just stitch along that edge. I recommend doing 2 lines of this. You do 1 and then 1 underneath. It just stops the gathers from falling flat. And then here I just grab that top string, because you don't want to backstitch, and you pull it and it creates your gathers. So I had to do a test sleeve first to see where I wanted it to sit, but after I did that, I measured, I think it ended up being about 2 inches in from the outer part of that back panel, and I seam ripped to just kind of slip the strap in there, and then you're going to top stitch right along that top line.
Thinking, what if it's you and me at the end? Maybe we'll be okay.
Now, right sides facing together, you're going to pin on your gathered sleeve right along that kind of your underarm part, right along the top of the strap, and then along the back kind of panel part. If it's too small, you can always undo the gathers or kind of slightly adjust it. And then here I'm just sewing that on.
Look at you, eyes as soft as that ocean blue. Falling in, learn to swim like I never knew. I see it now, that everything.
So instead of using elastic for the sleeve, I decided to create these 2 little fabric pieces. They were about 2.5 inches wide, and then the circumference of my arm plus an inch, just to be safe. I'm gathering the ends of my sleeves with the same process, and then I'm going to attach those fabric pieces onto the gathered piece, which should kind of help it cling to my arm, since the small fabric piece is the actual measurement of the circumference of my arm.
Come and save me. Know that you're coming back home in the morning. I hope that you're coming back home. I know that.
Now after all of that's done, you can finally sew up your side seams, and that's what you see me doing here. I just pin them together and a simple straight stitch right along that edge. So after trying on the bodice piece, I would suggest you do this before you attach the skirt. There's always going to be adjustments, especially since we're working around the bust area. So first of all, the length of the sleeve straps were slightly too long, so I tucked those in, sewed those down. It wasn't perfect. And then the underbust was slightly too loose, so I made 2 darts. I think they're about an inch wide there, and just sewed those down.
Keep you by my side, I'll just start in a liquefy. Need you here to tell me that I'll be okay. Married 1, loving 2, and now it's 3 a.m. Thinking what if it's you and me at the end, that maybe we'll be okay. I know that you're coming back home. Know that you're coming back home. Know that you're coming back home in the morning. I know that you're coming back home. Having my own conversation.
And this was where I was at after that process, and before attaching the skirt, this is what it should look like. So for the skirt, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a huge rectangle, so it should be about 3 times your underbust measurement. So for me, that ended up being 116 inches, and then about 25 inches long. But again, take a look at how long the skirt is. Once you attach it to the bust part, you can always shorten it before you hem it. So here I'm doing that gather stitch again, and then doing my second row underneath. So when we attach the top part, you're going to be sewing in between those 2 gather stitches. And then here you see again, I grab the 2 top stitches, the 2 top strings, and I pull them and I kind of ruffle it and pull it along until I get the width that I want.
I know that you're coming back home.
So I'm going to be attaching the skirt to my bodice piece, right sides facing together, and then you're just going to pin along there and sew a straight stitch. Again, like I said, try to sew in between the 2 gather lines. It just helps the gathers not fall flat and gives you that full look.
Know that you're coming back home in the morning. I know that you're coming back home.
So here we are in my sewing dungeon, as I like to call it, because it's so dark down here, featuring a treadmill because, you know, quarantine. We're basically at this point. It's looking pretty good, I think, at least. It might look like it's complete from this beautiful front view. She's got a open back, so I have to loop it together somehow. I'm thinking with a zipper. I like a good zipper, even though they don't like me very much. I still have to hem the skirt. I'm not sure if this is going to be short enough. I'm really trying to go for that baby doll little, you know, dress look. I probably won't look good on me, but, you know, Ariana Grande pulls it off. Maybe Fiona can as well. Then after hemming, I think it's just to cover the back, and then I think we're done. But I will let you know if anything goes awry, because it usually does for me with complicated situations like this. So I just want to quickly introduce you to the newest member of my machine family. It's only 2 at the moment, but she's number 2. So far, I've already used her a lot on this garment, and it's just, you know, the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Look at those clean edges. You know, the color doesn't match, but I have not tackled the rethreading of this machine yet, and I don't think I really want to, because that scares me a little bit. I'm going to overlock the edge of the skirt. As you can see, it's fraying a lot, this fabric, on certain cuts, and so this has really been a godsend, this entire project. But I'm gonna overlock that edge, and all the other edges that I had that I could overlock, I did, and you'll see many clips of me doing that in this video, so I'm gonna hop right into that. That was just like maybe a necessary explanation, but. So next we unpick these gathered pieces, since we gathered 2 rows just to make sure they didn't lie flat on the skirt. I'm going to be unpicking that second row. Things don't wanna work for me. Oh. Yes. Yes. Yes! So I'm just doing a pretty easy rolled hem along the bottom skirt. And then here I'm stitching up the back. I measured where my zipper would end, and I just stitched along that line.
Do you need to rant or just stay silent? Either or, you know.
And I'm attaching the zipper in this invisible zipper way. I will link a tutorial below to make it a little more clear. I'm using my zipper foot to get extra close to that edge and just stitching a straight line along there. This took me a long time, and it was not as easy as this clip makes it look. But again, there will be a tutorial below to help you guys out with this if you still struggle with zippers like I do.
If it's fine by you, I'll take the passenger seat. I got my hands out the window, feeling the ocean breeze. If it's fine by you, I'll be beside you.
You should have